In this video, I will share the exact playbook that we use to find coins before they make a 10x. It's exactly what investors in Crypto Game Plan used to get into AI16Z before it did a 32x and into virtuals before it did a 10x. If you don't know me, my name is Robin. I've mentored over 1,000 crypto investors and helped them to get from $10,000 to $100,000 and from $100,000 to $1 million. So let's get started. To use it, you don't have to join any Signal group or watch any YouTube recommendation video on the next big opportunity in crypto. This is a simple and proven method even beginners in crypto can use. So let's talk about the 10x playbook. I've broken it down into 7 simple steps, and I try to break it down as much as possible so you can basically implement each step directly when you watch this video. So step 1 is just to create a list of all existing narratives. I will get into the nitty-gritty and how you do that when I talk about the specific steps in a bit. So step 2 will be identify future catalysts for that specific narrative that you have chosen from the list that you created in step 1. Now, step 3 is to find like a fitting sub-narrative in crypto. So in step 2, you look out try to identify future catalysts inside of this narrative, and then you want to find like a specific sub-narrative. For example, like I will get into the examples a bit later, but basically you try to find specific sub-narratives in crypto, and inside of those sub-narratives, you basically do step 4, which is research every coin within it. No worries, I will tell you exactly how to do it. And step 5 will be just to buy the top players based on the research that you did in step 4. And step 6 then will be a way, or I will give you some ideas on how you can set up like a process to stay informed, because this is really important and you don't want to miss this. Otherwise, you will miss out on future potential launches. But again, I will get into this in a second. And lastly, I will help you with how you monitor this strategy and your investments and your overall portfolio that you start to build based on that method. So I already told you this method works. I showed you 2 examples, but those are just 2 examples of a lot of different plays that we made in this bull run so far. And there are many to come because the altcoin rally is just starting. So step 1, create a list of all existing narratives. So I would highly recommend you to just create a document. You can use Notion for that. I personally prefer Notion for keeping track of everything that I do, especially in crypto, because it can get messy, especially if you look into a lot of different protocols, a lot of different projects. You want to keep an overview above everything which is going on. And if you don't do that, it's going to get messy. And either have a good structure in forms of folders or use Notion. And Notion is pretty simple, so I would definitely use Notion. Now, how do you do first of all, what are narratives? Narratives are basically stories that people tell to explain a price pump. So first comes the price pump and then comes the narrative. And I will show you one example later, but basically narratives are just areas in crypto that perform pretty well. And then people just put a label on it. So for example, AI right now is a narrative, but gaming was also a narrative in the previous bull run, or metaverse was also a narrative in the previous bull run. So narrative is just a fancy word for areas. And when you want to be early to narratives, you need to identify upcoming stories. So this already shows you that a good story is something that you want to listen to. And it's basically all about attention. You don't listen to boring stories. You want something exciting. And when you think about AI, for example, this is an interesting narrative. This is something that you maybe felt yourself, or how AI impacted your daily life. You felt that, you saw how ChatGPT changed the way you work, And Metaverse also gave you some ideas on how the future could look like, how you could interact with people on the other side of the world within a 3D world and stuff like this. And there were like a bunch of movies around it. So those are stories that you like to listen to. And this is just like the explanation of a good narrative. A good narrative tells a story that you want to listen to. And tools to find existing narratives is if you have no clue at all about what is currently interesting, like you can either go to CoinGecko and just select the categories tab and sort for like the best performing narratives over the last 7 days, our categories over the last 7 days. Another thing that I would rather recommend is to go to the Telegram channel of Kaito. So let me just head over to Kaito. You see that Kaito, like this is, in general, this is a platform which tries to, like I already talked about it, like narratives, hot narratives are those a lot of people keep talking about, like stories that everyone is interested in. And in general, in crypto, you say that good narratives have a big mind share. In terms of like, when you think about what's hot in this bull run, most people will either say memes or AI. And if you talk about the previous bull run, it was DeFi, it was Metaverse, it was gaming, and maybe layer ones or layer twos. So in the current bull run, and when you scroll down a bit, you will see like a screenshot of like the Kaito app, and you can basically just like get all the good stuff for free. Like you don't need the premium version of Kaito, which is like, especially if you're just starting out, like quite expensive. So for example, you see it's Friday, the 13th of December, and here's a screenshot of the 12th of December. So you see which narratives or which areas in crypto have like a big mind share, and you want to be positioned either in those like narratives which are already big, or you want to be positioned in upcoming narratives. Now, in the bull run, like especially if the bull run is already going on, the amount of new narratives which comes into the market is quite low. So usually the market decides for 2 to 3 narratives directly at the beginning. So in this bull run, we had a huge AI narrative, and it's still like, as you see right here, it's like very strong, like 51.69%. I won't go into the nitty-gritty on how this number gets calculated, but basically when you see that AI has like a big mind share, then this is a pretty good sign that AI is being talked about. A lot of people are interested in that area, and you can basically say, okay, AI seems like a good play for this bull run. If you're on a bear market, then you have to play it a bit differently, and I will also show you how you can do that. But for the current bull run, it's best to be positioned in those areas who already have like a huge fan base, where people already like start making money. And usually when new investors come into the market, they look at the things that already work, and it's the easiest to position yourself within those narratives. So AI right now is extremely hot, and you also see memes, you see DeFi, you see GameFi, and RWA, Layer 2, DePIN, and EVM. So stablecoins and ETFs, of course, like it's not necessary to dive into those. All right, so stablecoins because they stay flat, and ETFs because like you can invest into Bitcoin and Ethereum right now, and maybe you will see a XRP ETF or Solana ETF in the future, but you won't make a 10x over there. So at least in this bull run. All right, so you want to get like either into one of those narratives, like, and to select like the right one, I would look also at the performance of those narratives and just go into the ones who perform the best. So you can either go into AI, into RWA, or into memes. DeFi also performed quite well over the past couple of weeks. But I would like always look at the narrative which is new in this bull run, because the most upside, and we look for the most upside right now, is within those like big narratives which are new, where a lot of people are still excited about. And especially also people who were investing into the bull run in 2021, like those people, like they will look at GameFi, but they maybe lost some money with gaming tokens, or lost some money with layer 2 tokens, or lost some money with DeFi tokens. So you rather want to find something which is new and where you basically have this like effect where people look at it the first time and think, oh wow, this is going to change the world. And when you think about DeFi, for example, like people will get into crypto who were in crypto previously as well, and they won't react to the buzzwords within that area the same way as they did in the previous bull run. So when they read like the future of finance, like this term is overused. So they won't react to it the same way. So it's much easier to get into stuff like AI right now because like it's new and exciting. So you can decide like for 2 to 3 narratives and basically do all of those steps which are about to come and basically make them for each of those narratives. So I highly suggest like to just like follow the Kaido AI channel, and there you will find like everything that you need to like create this list. So just search for like, I think every 2 or 3 days they post an overview like that. So again, like you don't need like the paid version of Kaido. All right, so let's get into the next one. So basically you just write down all of the narratives, then you decide for the ones who are like the newest and which went up the most. So in the current like phase of the bull run, it's AI and RWA, maybe DePIN as well. Like you can go into a couple of those, just select the ones who make you the most excited. And I would suggest to start with one and then work your way down to the ones with a smaller mind share. So RWA, for example, could be something that you do after AI. All right, so the next step is that you want to identify future catalysts for that narrative. And by the way, just to give you an idea like how we did it, like in Crypto Game Plan, we made like a workshop, which like where we invited also a couple of friends of ours, like other big investors in crypto. And we just sat together and basically recorded the whole session of what we currently find interesting, what we think is overlooked in crypto, and just like made a huge Miro board, like we did it right here, like a huge whiteboard, where we just wrote down all our ideas and what we found interesting and what we didn't like in this bull run. And we basically did that with like all of the people who joined Crypto Game Plan, but you can basically also do it yourself. So it's not that complicated if you know what you have to do. All right, then the second step, and this is basically also what we did in the workshop. So we just tried to identify like future catalysts for all of those narratives. So let's say we talk about, like we take AI as a narrative. Now, there are a couple of ways to find catalysts. So again, what are catalysts? Catalysts are basically things that are happening which like create a lot of attention around a certain narrative. Now, in the case of AI, we can look at like the big companies in the AI space. This could be NVIDIA, this could be OpenAI. So when you think about what those companies are doing, like we have OpenAI, who is creating like large language models like ChatGPT. And on the other hand, you have like NVIDIA, who's creating like graphic cards for like the processing of those huge data sets for all of those AIs. And when you look at the coins in the AI space, which went through the roof in the first phase of the bull run, you saw FAT, which is, I think, trying to create like AI agents and also is providing like solutions on how to develop AIs in the crypto space. You had like stuff like Tau, which is basically a big network where people can train their AI models with the power that gets put into the network. So it's basically the training of AIs got simpler through Tau, and you also have some other use cases over there. And then you had stuff like Render, which is basically a big network where people can use it to render their movies or whatever, or their games or whatever you want to. But basically what you saw is Render is pretty similar to NVIDIA, and NVIDIA went through the roof, Render went through the roof, Tau went through the roof, which is also kind of similar to NVIDIA or has like a similar use case. Then you had Fed, then you had like other AI players which were similar to OpenAI. And you see that they have like a big impact on what goes through the roof. And now your job, when you look at a new narrative or when you look at an existing narrative, is to identify, okay, what will lead to a lot of interest in that space. Now, when we look at like previous tech innovations for consumers, like for example, ChatGPT, we saw, like I made a screenshot of that, pretty short. So ChatGPT 3.4 Turbo launched in 2022, if I'm not mistaken, in like December. And after that, like ChatGPT 3.5 like gained a lot of interest from consumers. And also in the same time, Fed went through the roof and just made like a 63x. Is it a 63x? I think so. All right, so we have a 63x on Fed. And this is just because like people got interested into AI. There aren't a lot of opportunities to invest into the AI space yet, but in crypto you had stuff like Fed, so people started to invest in Fed, and if you caught that narrative even a bit later, you would have made like substantial gains just by being early to a specific narrative. Of course, it was also like the end of the bear market, so people were kind of scared to invest in crypto yet. But in general, like this is how you make decent profits in crypto, by just being early. All right, so another thing, when you already have like a narrative like AI, for example, you can just look at the biggest companies in that space and try to identify, okay, what are they doing at the moment? And this is exactly what you should do right now. So for example, OpenAI reportedly plans to launch an AI agent early next year. So you read that, and if you just read it as a consumer, it maybe doesn't mean that much to you. So you're sitting there and thinking, okay, yeah, what should I do with that information? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. But for us, it's something that we read and think, okay, AI agents will gain a lot of attention, because when we just think about previous launches from OpenAI, like everything that they did created like a lot of attention for the AI space. Now they are launching AI agents, and when you are in crypto, you might have heard of Virtuals or AI16Z. So this was also kind of the reason why we started to get interested in that space, because we knew something's coming up from the side of OpenAI, and we also saw the potential in it, because we thought, okay, AI agents in general could have a huge impact on our day-to-day life. So AI agents are definitely something that will be innovative for consumers if done right, and based on the track record of OpenAI and new products that they release, it will create a lot of attention. So what we basically did is then decided to go deep into that space, and this is step 3. We thought about, okay, what sub-narratives in crypto or in AI are currently fitting to that new product launch of OpenAI. And one of those, like when you just go to CoinGecko, for example, and just like look through the categories and just like search for AI, a couple of things will come up. So you have AI, whatever. Okay, this is also not interesting. So you have artificial intelligence. Then you have, okay, data availability is also not interesting. Then you have AI agents right here. So you directly see AI agents and look at the projects which are currently mooning. Like we have AI16Z and Virtuals, or Virtual, which is going through the roof. Now, this list looked a bit different like a while back. Of course, now we hold like the best performers in that space, especially if you look at the 30-day performance. Oh, Dash is also going through the roof. By the way, this is another like small hint, Dasher is also quite interesting. Game is also going through the roof. Okay, we hold a bunch of those coins actually. All right, so Virtuals, AI16Z, Dasher as well. So we started to research all of those projects and how we found like the new projects. I will also get into that later on. But basically we started either here or we had to go like the harder route and like dig like, if you don't find a sub-narrative or a subcategory on CoinGecko, you can go the route of finding like the key opinion leaders in the AI space. So one thing you can do is, for example, you can either go the route of using stuff like Gemini, like the large language model of Google, and just search for interesting AI agent projects in the crypto space in 2024. Something like that. You just need to get started and like find people who are already in that space and are talking about like new launches, new projects. You could also use like, for example, DeFi Llama to find fundraisings around like new category or in that specific category or for that specific sub-narrative. And this is how you get like your foot into the door. And you basically just need that. You need to find people who talk about that space. And you can either go the route of, for example, you can go to Virtuals. You could go to the Twitter page. Okay, right now, Twitter's blocked because my opal is telling me that I should sleep. All right, but basically, you could go, for example, to Virtuals and just like click on the people who Virtuals protocol is following, and based on that, you will like find different people who work in that space and just like go through their Twitter channels, and basically this way you will find some people who have like some credibility in that space. You don't want to find like shit posters, so you want to find people who have like actual knowledge. And this way you dig deeper and deeper and deeper into the whole space and like find people who talk about that stuff out of a like scientific view. And based on that, you will have you will find some projects pretty early. So this is the path you have to go if you don't have like a category like we have right here with top AI agent coins by market cap. This is the way how you can find like those projects early. So you want to find a fitting sub-narrative in crypto. So you have basically AI agent as a new product, which is not getting launched by OpenAI. This was, by the way, this article was published in November, on the 13th of November. So like this is 1 month ago. And if you just look like at the performance of Virtuals, just over the last 30 days, it was like a 6x. So even like if you haven't been as early as we were, like you already made a 6x based on that article and just being like interested and just like informed about what is going on. And I would say there are also other articles talking about that stuff. So you can be early, just you don't have to be like extremely early, but just being like informed about the things that are going on within like the category itself or within this space directly gives you an edge above everything like which is going on. Like people heard about Virtuals from some YouTuber talking about it after it made like a 5x. So this is the method on how you can be in those protocols before they do. So let's head over to step 3. Now let's get into this. And this is the part where most people will say, okay, I don't want to do this. Research every coin within it. Like, I can't stress it enough. Like, if you want to make a 10x, it's not easy. It's not watching one YouTube video or reading one article and then making money just by being or just by existing. So you need to do the hard work, and the hard work is to research coins in those interesting areas and just like go through them step by step. And the like 5 most important things right here are, first of all, community, product, team, tokenomics, and it should be a new coin, not an old one. So let's dive into them a bit just to give you like an idea of how to do it. The community is very important, but not necessarily in terms of, okay, like if you invest in something, or if you are looking into something like AI, community can also mean a lot of users who use the product and like make marketing for the product by using it. So for example, when you think about virtuals, there was like, virtuals went through the roof because people used it to create agents on virtuals, which then gain popularity. So the community is important, but it could also mean that you like are looking into like, for example, users. The next thing is the product itself. So the product needs to be innovative in one way or another. So you don't want to invest in simple copycats of something which is already existing. So if you're looking at protocols that are competitors, for example, to virtuals, then they should do something different. Like you don't want to hold copycats. Either you want to hold the original or you want to hold something which is doing the same but better. And there's not like right now people connect virtuals to the narrative AI agents. So every other copycat will have it pretty difficult to gain popularity. So the new thing needs to do something different, needs to speak to a different target audience, needs to speak to some, like, it just has to do something different. And if the product itself is just the same thing as the other bigger protocol, just invest into the safer option. Like you will make gains with the safer option and like certain gains if you're on the right narrative, and the less safer option, like you have a lot of more volatility. You can't invest as much as you could invest into the bigger one. And it's just like, there's much more risk associated to it. So I would rather like stay with the bigger one. The team is also important if it's not anonymous. So the team should be positioned in a way that they can first market the product efficiently and also have connections to like other people in that space. I can dive much deeper into the team in another video, but basically the team just needs to be a good fit for the product. So if it's an AI project, they need to have people inside of that team who are specialized in that area and also have some experience in that area. Next up, the tokenomics. Most importantly is that the tokenomics are designed in a way that they don't have huge unlocks coming in the next couple of weeks. So what are unlocks? Basically, crypto works like that. You can create a token and you can distribute that token to certain stakeholders. So for example, you could say the team gets 10% of the token. You could say early investors get 10%, and then the rest of the tokens goes into a fund, which is then used for marketing purposes and whatever, just as an example. The team or the developers of that token then can decide how fast all of those tokens enter the market. And the periods on how they enter the market is important because this increases the supply. So the unlocks are important because like when you think about price, how gets price created, like what is the formula of price? It's price equals demand divided by supply. So if the supply gets bigger, the price obviously also goes down if the demand is not growing faster than the supply. So you much rather want to be invested in coins where the supply is either increasing just by a bit or not increasing at all. Then new is better than old. It's like, this is a thing I talked about in a lot of videos. I think we also have a complete video about that. If I do, I will link it somewhere right here. But basically, new coins are better than old ones. There are a lot of reasons for it. Just to keep it very simple, you much rather, like if I would give you the option, and money doesn't matter, to buy the newest Ferrari, or Ferrari is maybe a bad example, but let's say you could either buy an extremely new shirt or one which is like 10 years old. Which one would you prefer? The new shirt. The old one, like, it's not new, it's not exciting. People already wear it and had fun with it, made pictures with it. So if you wear this old shirt, make a picture with it, like people will recognize that shirt from someone else, and it's not something that excites you, not something that you want to wear. And the same is true in crypto. You don't like people want to invest it in new stuff, and there's like a bias for that. People are like drawn to new stuff, and old stuff usually is nothing that people are interested in that much. So rather invest in new coins which don't have a history. And let's get into step 5. So lowest risk to highest risk, biggest position to smallest position. So you want to invest the most money into the safest place. And with that, I mean like the coins which have like bigger market cap, which after you did the research do look better, and the ones who have like a higher risk profile, you want to invest less. So in this way, you don't risk too much, but you also like, you are already in a sub-narrative in crypto, and you already are like risking a lot. So you don't want to risk too much in this way. You guarantee that you like if you make some losses, they are lower compared, like if you invest like everything into a coin which has a market cap of like 100,000. Like you want to be invested in a better place or into like the stronger place, the safer place. And there you want to put a lot of capital in because you can like pretty surely say that they will go up. And the highest risk coins, like you can buy them if you have a good reason for that. And because of that, you should also like decrease the amount of capital that you invest, like just to manage your risk. And if they develop to a better play, like to a lower risk play, you can also start increasing that position size. And of course, like don't forget your overall investing strategy. And it's very important. Like if you are investing into those types of coins, understand that like you are moving in the high risk area, especially if you invest into new narratives. Like this is a high risk area. This, like when you think about your overall portfolio strategy, it should be displayed in the high risk sector, not in the low risk sector. All right, step 6. Okay, set up a way to stay informed. And this is actually one of the things that, like if you are early to a narrative, this way, if you stay informed, you will make a bunch of money in that area. So first of all, ask yourself the questions like which company updates are important. We saw for AI, OpenAI updates are important, NVIDIA updates could be important. Maybe there are other companies which you should look at as well. How do you keep track of new launches? Like just think about like various ways. You could think about like newsletters within this specific niche. You could like find niche X accounts and so on and so forth. There are a lot of ways to like keep track of new launches. You could also watch like fundraising stuff. You could look at venture capitals, how they invest their money and in which projects they invest their money. Some VCs, like some venture capitals, are investing, like for example, right now, just in AI agents and just in a specific niche within that like area. And in this way, you could also like stay updated on stuff which is going on within that niche. Or like you will be early to new launches. And especially like for the high risk things, like I would find niche X accounts. And like, as I showed you earlier, like just go through the people that those projects that you already like follow, and then just create a list on X, for example. All right, how do you monitor success of new product launches? So for example, let's say OpenAI is launching this new AI agent product. How do we measure success? And like this could be media mentions, this could be people who actually use that feature compared to the people who use like the ChatGPT 3.5 turbo model. This way you can identify potential like in general, like you can basically say based on that, I expect this coin to go up. And when you see that the success isn't as high as you initially thought, then you can say, okay, I will like keep my distance from it or start to de-risk my position. All right. And one important thing, like in crypto in general, like you have the OG researchers, which are not necessarily on X or YouTube or any other social media platform. These are the people, if you find them, they are like they are worth it. So, for example, people like me who show you that stuff are people you should definitely follow or subscribe to. So, by the way, subscribe to this YouTube channel. So you want to find like people who tell you either like who have like a proven track record about talking stuff, like talking about specific projects like early on, or you find people who help you with doing that. So like the OG researchers are the ones who find those things early on. And usually those OG researchers, like sometimes they share on social media. But like, for example, Jack and I are doing this only in the crypto game plan group that we have. So we try to keep it like low profile. We don't want to be known for like giving token names to the outside world. I much rather want to show you how you can do it yourself. And like usually those OG researchers share their thesis with people within their inner circle. Like I am, for example, not just in Crypto Game Plan, I'm in a group with other crypto guys, and we talk like about those, like about the thesis that we have. Like the workshop, for example, was one where I just like talked with a couple of my friends and we just like chatted about like potential narratives in the crypto space. And then slowly within those inner cycles, you will find like influencers who then start shilling that to the outside world. So slowly you see like the attention gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger for the specific narrative. And then you have like cloud farm influencers who just start copying others' opinions, like without doing actual research. And most of the time, those people are on YouTube, on Instagram. X is actually like, if you follow the right people, like you can get some alpha over there. But in general, like you see like the influencers are already at a later stage. So usually like when they talk about that stuff, you're not early anymore and you won't make a 10x. Like it's very unlikely. Then lastly, retail starts talking about it. So this is like usually when beginners in crypto start buying this specific coin and then share their opinion with their friends. So if you have like people who have no clue about crypto and they start talking about this one specific area, which is now extremely interesting to invest in, it's too late. Like you make a 10x if you invest throughout the first and second stage. And sometimes if you're extremely early in the third stage as well, but usually like the first and second stage are the stages where you want to be in, otherwise you won't make a 10x. So the steps I showed you help you to do exactly that. So you are going to be positioned within this area or within those like two stages. All right, step 7. Now, after you basically said, okay, I know how to stay informed because I'm now able to understand like which updates are important, how I keep track of everything, and how I monitor success of new product launches or whatever like is the catalyst of that specific area. And I know where I'm positioned, I know when I should sell, because like when retail starts talking about it, I should definitely de-risk. And step 7 is basically just keep monitoring the performance and stay patient. Like a lot of investors in crypto lose money just because they are not patient. Like they have a good thesis, but they FOMO or over-rotate into other coins because their thesis or their idea is not popping off yet. But if you look at your original thought of why you invested into that new specific area, you knew that this will take time. But because other things are catching your attention and you think, okay, maybe I'm wrong because you are maybe not like certain about what you have done, because you have no one around you who is helping you like with your decision making, then you start switching your investments and this kills performance. So stay patient. Don't do anything. If you have a good thesis, a good understanding of why you invested into something, just don't switch. Like you saw that like the virtual play, it took like 50 days to play out. Throughout that time, you could have said, okay, shit, XRP is going through the moon, ADA's pumping, IOTA's pumping, should I switch my investments now? Which would have led to you selling your virtuals for coins which already went up, and then you saw virtuals going through the roof, and then you go into virtuals back again. So you miss out on both pumps because you are not patient, because you over-rotate, and you don't want to be that person. Like, don't be the person who over-rotates and loses money even if your original thesis, your original idea was good. So don't do that. Stick to the good ones. Don't buy shitcoins. If you, like I talked about that already, like if you want to make money in narrative investing in crypto, don't buy the copycats. Don't buy the shitcoins. Buy the coins who are the leaders in that category, because they will perform the best if your idea is good. And when we look at AI agents, Virtuals is going through the roof because Virtuals was the biggest player, was the first mover within that specific niche. Everything else also went up. But if you just bought like the exact copycat of Virtuals, like the chances that you underperformed are very high. So stick to the leaders within categories, and you want to build like your biggest positions over there. Don't invest everything into a shitcoin because you missed out on the big pump. So stay with the good coins within a narrative. And yeah, that's everything I want to say. So most people will never make it because like they over-rotate, because they switch good coins for shit coins just because they get greedy and want to make more profits. Like, stay with your original thought. And with that being said, I have a Telegram group where I share daily investing knowledge. So no coin chills, just knowledge on how to become a better investor. You'll find the link in the description. And yeah, if you haven't done that already, follow that channel. And with that being said, see you in the next video.